In this video, we're going to look at redirecting standard output using the single and double arrow symbols. Okay, so I'm logged into my CiderMill server, and I'm in my playground area, which we can see by PWD. And what we're going to be looking at is how to work with redirection. And basically what we're doing is we're taking standard output and we're going to redirect it mostly into a file. So standard output is something like this. Okay, I say echo standard output and it echoes me back. Standard output prints it to the screen. But let's say I want to put that in a file somewhere. Well, I can do that with redirection. So I can go echo and I can write this is some text, and I can use this arrow symbol here, and I can just go text.txt, and now you can see I created that file. And if I use my less command to look at that file, you can see that there's my text right there. Okay, so it's just a really quick, easy way to add some text to something. Now, if I want to, I can actually append more text to that. So I can go echo, and I can write this is more text, and I can do a double arrow, go to the same file, text.txt, hit that, less it, and now you can see that I added that line to it. So that's actually kind of neat, is I can actually just keep adding lines if I want to. Not as good as an editor, but it's a nice down and dirty way of doing something. Okay, but it gets a little more powerful than that. So let's say I go ls l and I go user bin. Okay, so I want to get all the files and directories in user bin. Well, there they are. But I want to print those to a file. Okay, so let me clear my screen, and I'm going to do the same thing, ls the L, and I'm going to do the, I'm going to redirect that. Oh, I'm sorry. Got to put what it is. Bin, and I'm going to direct that, and I'll just do it to an ls.txt file, just to do it. So if I go ahead and I do that, and I now do my less command on that, you can see they're all there. Okay, I won't go through them all, but they're there. So that worked out just fine. Now I'm going to do the same thing, except this time I'm going to change this path to something that doesn't exist. Okay, and I'm going to do that, hit that, and it says cannot access user bin, no such file or directory. Okay, but let me see what my file is. So let me go ls.txt, and it's now empty. So what it did is it erased everything, and the reason is because it had that error message that popped up right there, and because it had the error message, it stopped at that point and it didn't write anything because there was nothing for it to write. Now that can be a problem for us. Say I want to see the error messages. Okay, well what I can do is I can do the same thing that I just did, except I can use the number 2 in there, because if you remember from the book, they talk about how we have 0, 1, and 2 for our outputs. If I put the number 2 in there, all right, and I run this, and then I less txt, I've got the error message. So that works out pretty good. But now what I want to do is say, okay, what if I want to do both? What if I want to do both error messages and whatever the output is? Well, I can do that. I can basically come up here, and what I can do is I can change this to an ampersand, or an and, I'm sorry, and then I'm going to concatenate this, or not, I'm sorry, not concatenate it, but append it to this file. So that way it's going to keep adding to it. So I'm still going to get this error, so let's just go ahead and do that. And then we're going to go ahead and we'll less it, and we can see there's my 2 errors. So it remembered what I did the first time, it kept that, and it just added this line to it. Okay, so far so good. It's working for the error messages. Now let's fix it. Come over here, give it the correct path, and let's run this thing again. Okay, remember I'm appending it. So then when we run less, you can see that I have these 2 lines that were the 2 error messages, and then when everything worked, it started to spit out all the files and folders of the user bin directory. So that's actually worked out pretty good. Okay, so go ahead and clear that. I also want to give you a little tip here on something I've been doing that you probably can't see, but if you hit the up arrow keys, it goes back in your history of previous commands you've done, and the down arrow key, of course, will go back down the other way. So that's a nice little tip. So that was what I was doing in here, is I was using my up and down arrow keys to repeat my commands so I wouldn't have to retype them. Okay, to summarize, we looked at the redirection using the single arrow symbol and a double arrow symbol. Remember, the single arrow symbol writes to the file and will overwrite the file next time, when the double arrow symbol will append to the file. We also looked at how to put the 2 in front of that symbol to output just the errors, or we can use the AND symbol to output errors or output depending on what it gets or what it gives us. The other key commands that we discussed was using the up and down arrow keys to scroll through past commands.